Ireland's human story begins around 10,000 BCE when the first hunter-gatherers arrived, likely crossing from Britain via a land bridge that existed during the last ice age. These Mesolithic peoples left behind shell middens and flint tools, particularly around the coasts. The Neolithic period brought farming, pottery, and remarkable megalithic monuments. The Passage Tomb at Newgrange, built around 3200 BCE, predates both Stonehenge and the Egyptian pyramids, demonstrating sophisticated astronomical knowledge as its chamber aligns with the winter solstice sunrise. The Bronze Age saw the development of metalworking, with Ireland becoming renowned for its gold ornaments and bronze weapons. The landscape was dotted with stone circles, wedge tombs, and hill forts, while bog bodies from this period reveal details about ancient Irish life and ritual practices. The Celts arrived in waves from around 500 BCE, bringing ironworking technology, distinctive art styles, and complex social structures. Celtic Ireland was organized into approximately 150 small kingdoms, each ruled by a king and bound by intricate laws codified in the Brehon law system. This legal framework governed everything from property rights to personal injury compensation and remained influential for over 1,000 years. Celtic society was hierarchical, with Druids serving as priests, judges, and teachers at the apex, followed by warriors, craftsmen, and farmers. The Celts developed a rich oral tradition of myths and legends, including the Ulster cycle featuring the hero Cuchulainn, and the Fenian cycle celebrating the warrior band led by Finn McCool. Their artistic achievements included intricate metalwork, stone carving, and illuminated manuscripts that would later influence Christian art. Christianity arrived in Ireland during the 5th century, traditionally attributed to St. Patrick's mission in 432 CE, though Christian communities existed earlier. The conversion was largely peaceful, with Christian beliefs blending with existing Celtic traditions. Monasticism flourished, with monasteries becoming centers of learning, art, and manuscript production. Irish monks preserved classical knowledge during the European Dark Ages and established monasteries across the continent, earning Ireland the title Land of Saints and Scholars. The period from 600 to 900 CE marked Ireland's Golden Age. Monasteries like Glendalough, Clonmacnoise, and Skellig Michael became renowned centers of learning. Irish scribes produced masterpieces like the Book of Kells, while metalworkers created treasures such as the Arda chalice and the Tara brooch. Irish missionaries, including St. Columbanus and St. Columba, spread Christianity and learning throughout Europe. This golden age was disrupted by Viking raids beginning in 795 CE. The Vikings initially came as raiders, attacking monasteries and towns, but gradually established settlements. They founded Ireland's first cities, including Dublin, Cork, and Waterford, and introduced urban trade networks. The Battle of Clontarf in 1014 saw the High King Brian Boru defeat a coalition of Vikings and Irish rebels, effectively ending the Viking threat, though at the cost of Brian's life. The Anglo-Norman invasion of 1169 began when deposed King of Leinster, Dermot MacMurrough, sought English help to regain his throne. The initial success of Norman knights led to further intervention, and by 1171, King Henry II of England had landed in Ireland, claiming lordship over the island. The Normans introduced feudalism, built stone castles, and established walled towns, fundamentally altering Irish society. However, the Norman conquest was incomplete. Much of Ireland remained under Gaelic control, and over time, many Norman families became more Irish than the Irish themselves, adopting Gaelic customs, language, and law. The Pale, a fortified area around Dublin, represented the extent of effective English control by the late medieval period. The 14th century brought challenges including the Bruce invasion, when Edward Bruce of Scotland attempted to establish a kingdom in Ireland with support from some Irish chieftains. The Black Death arrived in 1348, killing perhaps one-third of the population, particularly in the anglicized towns and areas. The Tudor conquest began under Henry VIII, who declared himself King of Ireland in 1542. The English implemented a policy of surrender and regrant, attempting to transform Gaelic chieftains into English-style nobles. However, resistance was fierce, culminating in the 9 Years' War led by Hugh O'Neill, Earl of Tyrone. The war ended with the Treaty of Mellifont and the flight of the Earls in 1607, when the defeated Gaelic nobility fled to continental Europe. The 17th century witnessed the plantation of Ulster, where English and Scottish Protestant settlers were granted confiscated lands, creating a Protestant majority in the north. The Irish Rebellion of 1641 saw Catholics attempt to regain their lands, leading to brutal warfare. Oliver Cromwell's campaign was particularly savage, with massacres at Drogheda and Wexford. The Cromwellian land settlement transferred vast estates to Protestant settlers, reducing Catholic land ownership from 60% to 20%. The Catholic James II's attempt to regain his throne through Ireland led to the Williamite War. The Protestant William of Orange's victory at the Battle of the Boyne and the subsequent Treaty of Limerick established Protestant ascendancy. The penal laws severely restricted Catholic rights, excluding them from political participation, land ownership, and professional careers. The 18th century saw the rise of the Protestant ascendancy, a small elite that controlled Ireland's parliament and economy. Jonathan Swift, Edmund Burke, and other Anglo-Irish intellectuals emerged during this period. The American Revolution inspired Irish patriots like Henry Grattan to demand legislative independence, achieved in 1782, though the Irish Parliament remained restricted to Protestants. The 1798 Rebellion, inspired by the French Revolution and led by the United Irishmen under Wolfe Tone, sought to unite Protestant, Catholic, and Dissenter as Irishmen. The rebellion was brutally suppressed, leading to the Act of Union in 1800, which dissolved the Irish Parliament and incorporated Ireland into the United Kingdom. The 19th century was marked by the campaign for Catholic emancipation led by Daniel O'Connell, the Liberator. His peaceful mass movement achieved Catholic emancipation in 1829, allowing Catholics to sit in Parliament and hold most public offices. O'Connell later campaigned for repeal of the Union, organizing massive rallies before the movement collapsed in the 1840s. The Great Famine devastated Ireland when potato blight destroyed the crop that half the population depended upon. Approximately 1 million people died and another million emigrated, reducing the population from 8 million to 6 million. The British government's inadequate response fueled nationalist resentment and established patterns of emigration that continued for generations. The Fenian Brotherhood, founded in 1858, represented a new militant nationalism. Though their 1867 uprising failed, they maintained the tradition of physical force republicanism. The Irish Republican Brotherhood evolved from the Fenians, operating as a secret society dedicated to establishing an independent Irish republic. Charles Stewart Parnell led the Irish Parliamentary Party in the 1880s, nearly achieving home rule through constitutional means. The first Home Rule Bill split the Liberal Party, while the second passed the Commons but was defeated in the Lords. The third Home Rule Bill provoked the Ulster Crisis, with Unionists forming the Ulster Volunteer Force to resist Home Rule, answered by the Irish Volunteers supporting it. World War I postponed Home Rule's implementation. The 1916 Easter Rising in Dublin, led by the IRB and other Republican groups, initially received little public support. However, the execution of the leaders transformed them into martyrs, radicalizing Irish opinion. The subsequent War of Independence saw the Irish Republican Army, led by Michael Collins, wage a guerrilla campaign against British forces. The Government of Ireland Act partitioned Ireland into Northern Ireland and Southern Ireland. Northern Ireland remained part of the United Kingdom, while Southern Ireland was rejected by Sinn Féin, who had won 73 of 76 seats in the 1918 election. The Anglo-Irish Treaty of December 1921 established the Irish Free State as a self-governing dominion within the British Commonwealth, with Northern Ireland remaining part of the United Kingdom. The treaty divided the nationalist movement. Michael Collins and Arthur Griffith supported it as a stepping stone to full independence, while Eamon de Valera and others rejected it as a betrayal of the republic proclaimed in 1916. The Irish Civil War between pro-treaty and anti-treaty forces was bitter and destructive. The pro-treaty side, supported by the British, won, but the conflict left deep divisions in Irish society. The Irish Free State faced enormous challenges: establishing institutions, rebuilding after years of conflict, and addressing economic problems. W.T. Cosgrave's government focused on stability and gradual development. The boundary with Northern Ireland was confirmed, and the Irish Free State was admitted to the League of Nations in 1923. Eamon de Valera's Fianna Fáil party came to power in 1932, beginning a process of cutting links with Britain. The 1937 Constitution established Ireland as a republic in all but name, with an elected president and the name Éire. De Valera's economic policies emphasized self-sufficiency and protectionism, while culturally promoting the Irish language and Catholic social teaching. Ireland remained neutral during World War II, despite British and German pressure. This neutrality, maintained by de Valera, helped establish Ireland's independence in international relations, though it created tensions with Britain and the United States. The Republic of Ireland Act formally declared Ireland a republic and left the Commonwealth. The 1950s saw economic stagnation and massive emigration, with the population falling to 2.8 million by 1961. However, the 1960s brought modernization under Sean Lamasse's leadership, with economic planning, free second-level education, and television transforming Irish society. Ireland joined the European Economic Community in 1973 alongside Britain and Denmark. EU membership brought structural funds, agricultural supports, and access to European markets, contributing to Ireland's economic development. The period from 1969 to 1998 was overshadowed by the Troubles in Northern Ireland, a conflict involving Republican and Loyalist paramilitaries, British security forces, and civilian populations. The Irish government, while supporting nationalist aspirations, generally opposed violence and cooperated with Britain in seeking peaceful solutions. The 1990s brought dramatic change. The Celtic Tiger economy saw unprecedented growth, transforming Ireland from one of Europe's poorest countries to one of its wealthiest. Mary Robinson's presidency symbolized a changing Ireland, more liberal, confident, and internationally engaged. The Good Friday Agreement largely ended the Northern Ireland conflict, establishing power-sharing institutions and accepting the principle of consent for Irish reunification. The agreement was overwhelmingly endorsed in simultaneous referendums in both parts of Ireland. The 21st century began with continued economic growth, but the 2008 financial crisis devastated Ireland's economy. The banking sector collapsed, requiring EU-IMF intervention and severe austerity measures. However, Ireland's recovery was swift, with economic growth resuming by 2014. Contemporary Ireland is increasingly diverse and secular. The 2018 referendum repealing the constitutional ban on abortion and the 2019 referendum on divorce reform reflected changing social attitudes. Same-sex marriage was legalized by referendum in 2015, making Ireland the first country to do so by popular vote. Brexit has created new challenges, potentially affecting the Good Friday Agreement and Irish-British relations. Climate change, housing shortages, and healthcare pressures dominate current political debates. Sinn Féin's electoral success in 2020 reflected public dissatisfaction with traditional parties and raised questions about Irish reunification. Ireland's transformation from a poor, agricultural society to a modern, technology-driven economy is remarkable. The country has become a hub for multinational corporations, particularly in technology and pharmaceuticals, while maintaining strong agricultural and tourism sectors. Irish culture, from literature to music, continues to have global influence, with writers like Sally Rooney and musicians like U2 achieving international recognition. The Irish diaspora, numbering over 70 million people worldwide, maintains strong connections to Ireland, contributing to the country's soft power and economic development. Today's Ireland balances its historical identity with European integration and global engagement, facing the future with confidence built on overcoming centuries of challenge and transformation.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more engaging historical content.